Ladies and gentlemen, we have finally arrived at the moment on this convocation day for which we all were anxiously waiting. It is a matter of great pride for all of us to have the blessings of Professor Alok Kumar Rai for our 14th convocation. Professor Alok Kumar Rai is currently Vice Chancellor of the University of Lucknow, where he is spearheading the development of the university's policies and programs to establish extraordinary standards of education, enrich the experience of learning, and reinvigorate the connection between learners and the society. A champion of customer relationship management, Professor Rai has centered his focus upon building a culture of student centricity across various departments, institutes, and associated colleges of the university and transforming the face of higher education. Aligned with the university's ambition of serving the society as the harbinger of economic, social, and spiritual progress, Professor Rai is leading this illustrious institution towards creating an impact bigger and better than ever before. As an avid academician, Professor Rai has continued to be a prominent presence in sundry provinces of management education. As a NAAC expert for assessment and accreditation, MHRD expert for different committees, expert chairman, member of different committees for several regular and technical universities, Professor Rai has long been dealing with diverse administrative responsibilities. He has also been on the faculty board, board of studies, curriculum development committees of several leading universities and management colleges of the country. Professor Rai has delivered a large number of keynote addresses and invited lectures at various FDPs, conferences, seminars and workshops in different parts of the country. He has been actively involved in providing professional training and consultancy services to different government departments such as Ministry of Defense, Department of Post and Telegraph, Central School Board, etc., leading PSUs like BSNL, NTPC, ECGC, UPPCL, REC, etc., and several private companies. He has organized 3 international conferences, 8 national conferences, 5 national level FDPs, and holds membership on various professional bodies like Association of Management Development Institutions in South Asia, CRM Academy of Asia, ISOL Research Foundation, etc. I would now request Sir to say a few words on this auspicious occasion.
Good morning to everyone. My greetings to all the distinguished guests and esteemed faculty members of this great institution. And very, very importantly, my blessings and my good wishes and also my congratulations to all the passing out students of postgraduate diploma in management program and also of masters of computer application program. Now this is a big day and it does deserve accolades. Having said this, it is also a day where we have to contemplate on as to what did we study. So if at all we studied management, now what in management? Why in management? And how at all did we study? So like for example, you want to become a professional, right? You all have taken admission to a professional program to become a successful professional. This professional education will shape the career of your professional life, and subsequent life will also be based on the outcome of this education. That makes this education extremely, extremely important. But we are going to think of how did we spend our 2 years? Did we study science or we studied technology? Did we study theory or we studied application? Or we studied both? Now, many a time you must have encountered certain situations where many of your seniors or other people might have come to you and told you, look, what we study in the class hardly has got any relevance in our professional life. but I say that such statements are only of those people who end their life as mediocre professionals. I can tell you, anyone who has grown in the professional life essentially has to ensure that one is very, very sound at the theory. At the same time, one also learns the application dimension of the theories that one undergoes through in the class or the learning ecosystem of the institution. And that is why the educational institutions have created a kind of preferences. What is a famous, say, Indian Institute of Management in Ahmedabad stands for? What at all? Why do people line up to get admission to that institution? It is because the learning ecosystem that prevails there. So any particular institution, or for that matter, IITs, they excel. It is only because they create a kind of learning ecosystem. And I believe this Jagran Institute of Management must also have been providing such kind of learning ecosystem that would help you shape your professional career in times to come. Because at times are getting hugely testing. Now, in those testing times, it is not just the skill, but it is the vision of the individual that transforms and that actually leads to the transformation of the organization that the individual works in. Now, at this point in time, I am certainly congratulating you all for the achievement that you have been able to obtain, especially during these extremely difficult times. Not just Jagran Institute of Management or the students or the country or the world, but the entire mankind has been undergoing through. So this was one of the most difficult phase of our life, and you all have been able to successfully sail through. This time you deserve a special appreciation and a special mention. These difficult times would certainly make you more strong. But I would also like to give you certain points to ponder over and certain keywords that I believe should be rendered to you all. First of all, first lesson that I want you all to remember is to stay positive. Many of us have not been able to sail through these difficult times, but those people who remained positive have been able to overcome these challenging times as well. So can we start with 16 minutes of 16 hours of our daily active life? Is it possible that we at any cost shall remain positive? Now, if we ensure that every single thing that is there around us is there to help me grow further, this helps us be a little more positive, and the positive vibration comes in, which subsequently goes on to the other party as well. You must have studied in business theories that at junior level, we practice more of domain knowledge. As we grow up in the ladder, we use more human skill, and then at top, we require conceptual skill. But for all those levels of delivery of the skill, we certainly need to be positive to actually receive the kind of outcome that we actually aim for. I can quote a Greek philosopher who wrote in his biography that while his father was on his deathbed, he called his son, the philosopher, and he said, look, if I make you a suggestion from my deathbed, I hope you'll not get angry. The son said, no, father, there is no chance. He said, whenever someone accuse you or abuse you in your life, don't react immediately. Go back, think over it, and see, was he saying correct? If he says correct, you don't need to respond because he was correct and you deserved. If he was saying incorrect, even then it does not require any kind of response because he was incorrect. So why should I respond? And the philosopher writes, all through my life, I did not have any quarrel with anyone. There is a famous story of Lord Buddha who said, while he was passing through one village, some villagers came up to him and they started abusing him. When they were done, one villager said, we abused you so badly, you're not reacting. Why so? Lord Buddha said, before this village, I was staying at another village. There people came to me and offered me lots of fruits and sweets and other things. I did not accept. They had to take their fruits and sweets back. So I don't accept your abusers. You will have to take it back. So this is the consequence of being positive and such kind of vibration that you generate around yourself. You know, while Swami Vivekananda ji was about to leave to Chicago for the very famous Chicago conclave, he went to his Guruma. Her name was Sharda. He said, Ma, I want to go to America. Guruma said, okay, come tomorrow, we'll talk. Next day, again Vivekananda ji went to his Guruma. Guruma again said, come tomorrow, I'll think over. At that time, Guruma was in her kitchen. So Vivekananda ji said, Ma, I'm only informing you. She said, can you pass me that knife? Because they both were in the kitchen. Vivekananda ji passed on the knife to her. She said, now you can go. Vivekananda ji said, what all did you see in me passing knife until a minute before you were saying, I'll tell you, and now you are saying, no, you can go. She said, how you passed on the knife to me, what you did was you kept that sharp edge in your hand and the easier baton on towards me. That shows you are ready to propagate positivity around the world. And now you deserve to go outside. So this is my first lesson to all these students. Stay positive and spread positivity, and such positivity will again reach back to you to make your life peaceful and happier. Second very, very important aspect is stay objective. Now, objective is about elimination of vagueness in whatever we do. Whatever we do with respect to our academics, professional life, personal life, we should remain vagueness. And in theories of decision making, you must have heard of it. You must have read the very significance of removal of vagueness across different sections of our decision making. There has to have a doubt, but then that doubt has to be right doubt. And this is what you study when you study management by objective. Now, if we say we all aim for good marks, now what is this good? What is the specific aim that we are looking for, and how far are we able to accomplish? That objectivity in our approach is inevitable for us to grow professionally. Like, for example, a flower, a rose, Many of you must have used it at some stage of your life, especially the kind of phase of your life you all are undergoing through. That rose to a Buddhist has got a different meaning, and to a poet has got a different meaning. To a lover has got a different meaning, and to other people have got a different meaning. So what we are aiming for with respect to any subject, and when I say subject, I mean the specific, it's not academic subject, any subject that we are encountered with, we have to have extreme clarity in our mind with respect to the endeavor that we practice and that we pursue. My third point that I want these students to pay attention to is be receptive. So this receptivity is very important. So first I said is positive. Second I said objective. Third I said be receptive. And this receptivity can make wonders. And denial to receptivity also has got its own significance in our life. Like, for example, I'll share an interesting instance. Mark Twain, you must have heard of his name. So Mark Twain once was, he was a very famous preacher. So once he invited one of his friends and he said, look, you come and attend one of my lectures and then tell me what is the feedback. The friend attended the lecture, and after that he met Mark Twain. Mark Twain asked him, how was the lecture? The friend said, see, I have got a book where every single word that you spoke was there. Mark Twain was aghast. He said, all the things that I spoke was my original. How do you say this? He said, let us bet. I'll give you a book that has this, every single word that you spoke. He said, okay. Tomorrow the friend met Mark Twain and gifted him a dictionary. Now, dictionary has had all those words. But does the word compiled in a dictionary means a lecture? No. So we have to be receptive. Our denial may lead us for momentary gratification, but then receptivity will lead us for enormous prosperity. You know, Picasso, you must have heard of. Picasso was once asked to paint a portrait of a famous American billionaire. Now, the painting took almost 2 years to get ready. And Picasso was a big name, so the businessman used to keep inquiring about the state the portrait is at, and so on and so forth. Of late, the businessman, along with his colleague, went to Picasso's place when he could know that the painting is ready. And Picasso saw the the businessman saw the painting made by Picasso. He was very happy with Picasso and his work. Then he asked, how much? How much do I need to pay? He said, $5,000. Now the businessman was amazed. He said, $5,000 dollars for one painting? What all is this in painting? Few color tubes, a canvas. Picasso called his assistant and said, look, give him a bigger tube and a bigger canvas. And I'm not going to give this to you. You give me whatever you feel like for this. Then the painter, the businessman could realize that he made a mistake. He said, no, okay, I'll buy it at 5,000. Then Picasso said, no, now I'm going to give you at $50,000. Otherwise you go. So this receptivity, if you do not have, may cost you dearly. So this receptivity, as an individual, we have got to be ready for. My fourth lesson to all these students is to be attentive. So be positive, be objective, be receptive. Fourth is be attentive. Many of you must have realized while sitting in the class or maybe attending the sessions between the lectures, you're shaking your leg. Why? The moment I say, you'll stop shaking your leg. Why does this happen? You know, if I ask you, and this is a very famous experiment, if I place a wooden plank of 1 feet width and 100 feet in length and place it on the ground, and I ask you to cross that plank, will you not be able to cross this? You all will. Even while talking to someone, you can easily cross the plank. But if I place the same plank with a width of 1 feet and 100 feet length, placed on 200 feet tall buildings, and I ask you to cross, will you be able to? Many of you may not. Why? The width and the length of the plank remains the same. Then what is the problem? The problem lies in our attentivity. Are we attentive enough? Because on ground, if we were not attentive, even if we could fall, we did not suffer. But if we do that mistake while the plank is on top of 200 feet tall buildings, and if we are less attentive, our sufferings could be immense. So it is extremely important to be attentive, to be in a state where we can experience realization of our mind, body, and soul. And that is very important. That is very immensely useful. At University of Lucknow, where currently I am Vice Chancellor, I have initiated the practice of not just focusing on the intellectual quotient of the students, but also on their emotional quotient and spiritual quotient. So we have tied up with so many organizations who are contributing towards strengthening the emotional and spiritual quotient of our students. And my fifth lesson to the students is that after staying positive, being objective, being receptive, being attentive, we also need to be sensitive. Cultivation of sensitivity certainly requires synthesis. And it is this synthesis that is extremely important. In classes, you must have heard of analysis, where we decode. I am saying you add, you recode, because the synthesis is integration of the soul with the ecosystem. Like, for example, the chemical formula for water is, you all must be knowing, H2O. Now, property of hydrogen is highly inflammable. And property of oxygen is that in absence of oxygen, nothing can burn. But if they both combine, they form water, which is used to curb fire. So it is this synthesis that is required. And it is this where the concept of synergy comes from. Analysis breaks while synthesis adds. Human mind would move from how to why. Like in a younger age, in smaller classes, we must have read, how does rain take place? So probably in our class 3, 4th, 5th, 6th, maybe we must have read the formation of cloud and then condensation and then rain takes place and so on. But such answers are available with everyone. Our mind has to be sensitive enough to the extent of finding the answer of why. Because it is only when we explore, when we inquire, we find. So that is extremely important. That is extremely, extremely important to explore this why and to be sensitive enough. Otherwise, what is the value of a human body? What is the value of Alok Rai? So if you go to a zoologist, he'll calculate this much of, this is the value of muscles and then, bones and then eyes and this. But then if we put all these different organs in a particular fashion, we can derive value that is immense. That can never be equated with the simple summation. And this is where the concept of synergy has come from. So my 5th lesson to all these students is to be sensitive enough towards all the systems, towards your ecosystem, towards the environment. What I started at Banaras Hindu University Faculty of Management Studies, where I'm professor, that on Saturdays, my students, we don't have classes on Saturdays. So I asked my students to start visiting. We have got a very famous hospital that receives no less than 5,000 outdoor patients. It's a huge hospital. So why don't you go to that hospital and relate to the problems of the people who are visiting, relate to the sorrows that makes the that strengthens the soul of my student. Have you seen that if you break a raw coconut, what happens? If you hit on the exterior, the interior also breaks. But what happens with the ripe one? The exterior breaks, the interior is not. And that is why you are able to find such coconut, dry coconut that we normally call it as, in full shape. This is where the strength comes from. If you are sensitive enough, if you relate with the issues of the society, then only sustenance can take place and you do not break down with those small hits. So these are the 5 lessons that are there on this very, very auspicious day of your life to all these students. Be positive, be objective, be receptive, be attentive, and be sensitive. And very, very important is that we all are working towards strengthening of our career, but then career requires commitment as well as competence. Commitment has diligence and perseverance. So Ravana was a Rakshas. Through commitment, in his prayers, even devil got boons from God. This is possible. Now, competence is another very, very important aspects in our career, in shaping of our career. And this competence has 3 components: knowledge, skill, and motive. Normally, in our educational institution, we are provided with knowledge. Some good institutions also focus on imparting skill. But this third aspect, so after knowledge and skill, this third aspect motive is what I was referring to, because it is this motive that actually produces the outcome of your knowledge and skill. Knowledge certainly comes through inquiry, and inquiry, of course, through right doubt. So this is all that I wanted to speak about to you all. My sincere wishes to all the students who are passing out on this day. This is a great day for your life. So my sincere wishes, my best wishes, may you do well, may you succeed, but also be sensitive with your success. My words of appreciation for the efforts that the institution must have put in shaping your life and your career. Thank you very much.